Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're learning a new language, especially English, I bet you've had this moment. We all have, I think.
Oh, definitely.
You're right in the middle of a sentence. It's going pretty well. You've got the verb, the vocabulary, and then, uh-oh. You just need to point to something right there.
Yeah.
The thing you need to mention to keep going. And you just freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Is it this? Is it that? These, those, and suddenly that fear, that tiny hesitation over one simple word, it just stops you cold.
It totally does. It breaks the flow completely.
And you feel kind of defeated, right, by something that seems so basic. I often push back against grammar thinking, oh, it's too hard, it takes too long.
Right.
But maybe that anxiety, it actually comes from just not quite trusting the underlying system for these simple things.
That feeling, that roadblock from something seemingly simple. It's incredibly common. It's a huge hurdle for learners who are trying to get from textbook sentences to actually talking spontaneously.
Yeah.
But the good news is we can actually get rid of that hesitation pretty quickly today.
Okay. Yeah, today we're doing a deep dive into just 4 tiny but really powerful words that manage, well, one of the most basic things we do when we communicate, pointing things out. Okay, we were talking about the demonstratives.
Yeah.
This, that, these, and those. Got it. The famous 4.
Exactly. And our mission today, looking at the core English teaching materials we have gone through, is basically to show you that getting these 4 small words right isn't just fixing a tiny grammar point. It's actually a massive shortcut.
A shortcut? How so?
A shortcut to sounding, more automatic, more confident, and just natural when you speak, moving beyond just reciting things.
Okay, I like the sound of a shortcut. We've definitely got a stack of sources here, grammar guides, ESL stuff, examples of real conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And the big message seems to be, like you said, once you get the simple logic behind these 4 words, they stop being scary. They actually become a tool you can use instantly.
That's exactly it. We're going to unlock that system because, to use them automatically without thinking, you first got to understand the job they're doing in the sentence.
Right. So let's start there. Section 1, looking at their essential dual role. Because knowing what they're doing structurally is really the key to using them right and efficiently. Okay, let's do that. Unpack this dual role thing. Our sources define demonstratives pretty clearly, right? They're words that specifically show which person or thing is being referred to.
Yeah, they're like linguistic pointing fingers.
Pointing fingers, I like that. But the interesting part, according to this material, is that they point in 2 totally different grammatical ways.
Exactly. It's fascinating, really. These 4 little words, they basically have 2 different jobs, 2 careers, if you like, in English sentences.
2 careers. Okay.
And understanding this difference isn't just for grammar nerds. It's super practical. They can work as either a demonstrative adjective or a demonstrative pronoun.
Right. Okay. Those terms sound a bit formal, but the idea seems pretty simple when you look at the examples. So the demonstrative adjective, that's when it's sort of attached to a noun, right? Modifying it.
Precisely. It's tethered to the noun. It answers the question, which one?
Okay.
The adjective always comes with its noun buddy. Like in the examples from the sources, if you say, this apple is good, this is the adjective, and it's modifying apple.
Right. Telling which apple. The one here.
Exactly. The one nearby. Or, I like those houses.
Mm-hmm.
Those modifies houses, specifying the ones, further away. They stick together in this role.
Okay. Adjective modifies the noun.
Got
Yeah.
it. But then they can switch jobs.
Yep. And this is where they become really efficient. They switch to being a demonstrative pronoun. And here, they don't just modify the noun.
They replace it.
They replace it entirely. They stand in for it.
Ah.
And the sources, they really highlight this. This is a key step towards sounding more like a native speaker. Because instead of saying the whole phrase again, which can be a bit slow, a bit clunky.
Yeah, repetitive. Right. The pronoun just takes over once we know what we're talking about. So, like, if we're talking about apples, you don't have to keep saying this apple is good. You can just say,
This is good.
exactly. This just absorbs the meaning of apple. Or, I like those, where those completely replaces houses.
Okay, that makes sense. But why should someone listening, someone focused on just, getting confident and talking, why should they care about the difference?
Adjective pronoun. Sounds like stuff for a grammar test.
Well, it might sound like that, but it's really not just a test thing. The value, the real payoff, is all about conversational speed
Yeah.
and efficiency.
Speed. Yeah.
Think about like the mental effort, the cognitive load. If you're learning English, you're working hard just picking words, right?
Totally.
So using the pronoun function, letting one single word like this or those replace a whole phrase like this shirt or those old shoes, it actually reduces how much you have to say.
Less effort. Less effort, and it speeds up your delivery. It signals, hey, we both know what we're talking about now, so you can move on to the next idea faster.
Okay, I get that. So the real point isn't the fancy label, it's about cognitive economy. Like cutting out the noise once the subject is clear.
Exactly. Cognitive economy. That's a great way to put it.
Like if I'm at a market stall and the vendor and I are both looking at these amazing strawberries saying, these are perfect, feels much quicker, much more natural than saying, these strawberries are perfect.
Absolutely. It's instant. The pronoun function is that linguistic shortcut.
Yeah.
And recognizing that, using it, that's copying how fluent speakers naturally handle conversations.
Okay.
It's a habit we really want you, the listener, to build right away.
So, okay, now we understand there are two jobs, adjective and pronoun. But how do we pick the right one? This, that, these, those, which one fits?
The selection process.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings us to the core mechanism, what we're calling the 2x2 grid. And this, honestly, is foolproof. Foolproof. Okay, now you're talking. This is where the fear is supposed to disappear, right? Because you said the choice is totally systematic.
Totally. Our sources all agree on this. There are only two things, two variables you ever need to think about to choose the right demonstrative.
Just two.
Just two. Think of it like a simple GPS system for your words.
Okay, a linguistic GPS. I like it. What are the two coordinates? It works on two axes. Distance, is it near or far? And quantity, is it singular or plural? Distance and quantity. Near, far, singular, plural.
That's it. That creates a perfectly logical four-box grid. If you can answer those two simple questions about the thing you're pointing to, you automatically know the right word. No guesswork needed.
Okay, let's map this out. Let's start with the near category. So things that are like physically close or conceptually close.
Exactly. Closer to you, the speaker, or the thing you're immediately focused on. Now, within near, if the object is singular, just one thing.
One thing, close by.
You absolutely must use this. Like, I like this shirt, you're probably holding it, or it's right here in front of you.
Okay. Near, singular, this. What about near and plural?
If the objects are plural, two or more things close by, you just switch the quantity and you use these. I like these jeans. Again, they're right here. Maybe you're touching them.
Wait, this shirt, these jeans. Okay. And the source materials, they also give some handy signal words for near, right? Clues.
Yeah, these are great practical tips. Words that often hang out with this and these. Things like here and now.
Ah, right.
They reinforce that closeness, that immediacy. If you use the word here in your sentence, chances are extremely high you'll need this or these to point something out nearby.
Okay, that makes sense. So that covers the near zone. Now, what about when things are further away? The far category.
Right, the far category, things farther away from you, or maybe just outside the immediate spotlight of the conversation. If the object is singular, you use that.
Singular and far that.
Yep, I like that shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe it's across the room on a hanger over there. Takes a bit more effort to single it out.
Okay. And far and plural?
Predictably, you use those. Try those jeans. Maybe they're on a shelf way over there or the one someone else is looking at.
That shirt, those jeans, it's beautifully symmetrical.
It really is.
And again, signal words for far. Yep, equally useful. Think over there. And a really important one. Back then. Ooh, back then. Okay, hold on. That tells us distance isn't just physical space, is it?
Exactly right. And this is a really neat point, especially as you get more advanced. Distance can also be temporal, about time, or even conceptual.
Temporal or conceptual distance. Explain that.
So that and those get used a lot when you're talking about ideas or events or time periods that are distant in the past.
Ah, like memories.
Precisely. If you're talking about your childhood, you might say, oh, I remember that summer we went camping. You use that because the summer itself is distant in time, even if the memory feels close right now.
Okay, so that for past events.
Or say you're discussing a complicated idea from a book you read ages ago. You might say, I never really understood that theory. The theory feels kind of conceptually distant or abstract.
Okay, wow. So if I was thinking about a mistake I made yesterday, I'd say that was a dumb idea because yesterday is far in time.
Exactly.
But if I'm like holding the printout of the stupid email I sent yesterday, then it's physically here. So I'd say this is embarrassing.
Perfect. You got it. The distance shifts from time, far that, to the physical object right here. near this.
That flexibility is really powerful.
It is. That's what makes these 4 words workhorses. Now, let's really hammer this home. Let's run through those specific examples from the source materials, because practicing these scenarios really drills the rules in until it's automatic. Okay, practical application. Let's start super simple. Immediate, tangible, scenario 1. You've got one book. It's literally in your hand.
Near or far?
Near.
Singular or plural?
Singular.
So the word must be this, and the example uses the pronoun. How would you buy something like this? Perfect. Okay, next. You're kicking back. You've got a bowl of cherries right on your lap.
Okay, near or far? Still near. Singular or plural? Plural. Lots of cherries.
So you switch the quantity variable.
To these. These cherries are delicious.
Yeah.
I noticed the verb changes too, right? These are...
Good point. The verb has to agree. Okay, now let's bring in distance. You need someone to grab a book for you. Just one book. But you left it outside, in the garden.
Okay, so the book is far, and it's singular.
So the word has to be.
That. Could you bring me that book I left in the garden? The distance forces the switch from this to that. You got it in the last combo. Far and plural. You're pointing to a picture. It's on the wall, maybe across the room. And in the picture, there are people, let's say it's your kids. Okay, the picture is far. The kids in it are plural. So,
yeah, you need those. Those are my children. Wow. It's a perfect illustration. Location and quantity, that's the system. It dictates the choice every single time, no exceptions. It really is elegant when you see it laid out like that. I think the big takeaway for anyone listening is stop trying to memorize grammar tables.
Yes.
Start seeing these 4 words as just the instant result of that 2-step mental check, near or far, one or many.
Once doing that check becomes automatic, like breathing, the fluency just happens, doesn't it?
That is precisely the psychological shift we're aiming for. Absolutely.
Okay, so the 2x2 grid feels solid now.
Right.
We know how to choose the right word. Where do we go next to build confidence and speed?
Right. So once that grid is locked in, we can move towards faster, more fluid, more natural sounding speech. And a huge tip for that, which the sources really emphasize, is something we touched on earlier: omission for fluency.
Ah, dropping the noun.
Exactly. This is where you really start to sound less like you're reading from a textbook and more like you're just talking.
Yeah.
If you've pointed to the object, or if the context makes it totally obvious what you mean, the fluent speaker often just drops the noun. They let the demonstrative pronoun carry the full meaning.
I remember this one time. It was so embarrassing. I was trying to order food in this really loud market.
Uh-huh.
And I kept saying the full name of the sandwich, like, can I have this spicy chicken sandwich?
Yeah.
And the vendor, clearly annoyed, just pointed and said, you want this. And that one word, this, it did all the work. It was faster, clearer. Same as, like, instead of saying, do you like this new jacket I bought and am currently wearing? You just say,
do you like this?
yeah. It's immediate. It speeds up the conversation. And honestly, it probably speeds up your own thinking, too, because you're not searching for extra words.
Definitely. And to really see this speed and the nuance in action, let's dig into those real-life conversation scenarios from our source material.
Okay.
These 3 examples are great because they show how the choice of demonstrative shifts instantly, not just based on physical location, but also on that other factor we mentioned, conceptual distance.
Right, the time and idea distance. Okay, let's look at scenario 1. It's about checking who owns something, possessions. And you said there's a kind of trap in here.
Well, a point that often confuses learners. So a man asks a woman about a book. He's pointing at it, maybe holding it. So clearly near and singular. He asks,
is this your book? Makes sense. Near, singular, this. Okay, now listen carefully to her reply. She confirms it's hers. Yes, that is my book. Wait, that. But the book is still right there, isn't it? Physically close.
Yeah.
Why didn't she say, yes, this is my book?
Exactly. That's the confusing part for many people. If it's physically near her, the rule seems to say she should use this. So why that?
Is it?
Yeah.
Is a little, sometimes just a state of mind? Like conceptual distance again?
You nailed it. The distance is often conceptual or psychological. When she says, yes, that is my book, she's sort of confirming a known fact, establishing ownership. She's referring to the book as an identified item, maybe slightly separating it from the immediate act of pointing. Once the object's identity is sort of agreed upon, it often slips into that category. It signals shared knowledge or maybe a slight emotional distance, even if the thing is physically right there.
So it's like moving from, hey, look at the thing I'm pointing at right now, to, oh, yes, the thing we both now understand we're talking about.
That's a brilliant way to put it. It's a subtle shift, but it happens all the time in natural conversation. It shows a more advanced handling of context.
Oh, okay. That's a really cool insight. The conversation then moves on to glasses, plural.
Yeah.
What about these glasses? Still near, but plural.
Mm-hmm. And the
Mhm.
woman replies, I think those glasses belong to the teacher.
Those. Okay, why those?
Well, here the conceptual shift gets reinforced by where the glasses might belong. By saying belong to the teacher, she's implicitly linking them to a place that's probably further away the teacher's desk, maybe another part of the room.
So the implied location makes those the natural choice.
Exactly. It solidifies the choice of those. The whole little exchange pivots on using the right pointer, this, that, these, those, to clarify ownership and implied location super efficiently. No wasted words.
Okay, cool. Let's move to scenario 2, the shopping one. This seems perfect for showing quick singular plural choices depending on what you're looking at.
Yeah, shopping is prime demonstrative territory. In the source example, the woman says, I like these jeans.
Okay, near, plural. She's probably holding them or they're right on the rack in front of her.
Most likely. Then the man responds, I like those too.
Those. So those jeans are probably, what, further down the same rack?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a pair on a mannequin across the way.
Could be either. But the point is, those clearly indicates jeans that are slightly further away than the one she called these. It distinguishes between two sets of jeans in the same shop just based on a few feet of distance.
It's so efficient.
Isn't it? And then they do the singular comparison. Do you like this shirt?
Near, singular, maybe holding it up.
Yeah.
And reply, no, but I like that shirt.
Hmm.
Far, singular. The one over there. On the top shelf, maybe. Or a different color on another display.
Yeah. And again, look how efficient it is. This shirt versus that shirt instantly identifies two separate items. You don't need to say the blue one or the one near the window. The demonstrative does the heavy lifting.
That kind of instant selection, that's going to be a huge step towards feeling fluent, right? It cuts out all the ums and ahs and filler words you might use otherwise.
Absolutely. It shows how demonstratives are basically these really sophisticated real-time spatial markers in our language.
Spatial markers. Okay, final example, scenario 3. This one's about buying things, transactions, where you really need to be clear and quick.
Yeah, customer-seller interactions.
Okay.
The man starts off asking about a single larger item near him. How much is this coffee maker?
Near, singular, straightforward.
The cashier replies, that is $10.
Hang on, that again. Even though the coffee maker is presumably still right there on the counter.
Yep, we see that conceptual shift again. Once the item becomes the subject of the transaction, once they're talking price, inventory, the act of buying it often takes on that slightly distanced, confirmed status of that.
So it's not just about physical pointing anymore, it's about its role in the process.
Kind of. It's now the item under discussion in the transaction, which gives it a slight conceptual distance. It's subtle, but common.
Fascinating. Okay, then he switches to plural. He asks about plates, maybe right there on the counter too. How much are these plates?
Near, plural. Makes sense. The cashier responds, those are $5 each.
Those again. Same reasoning.
Could be the same transactional distance, or perhaps the plates are stacked slightly further along the counter than where the immediate payment is happening. And notice the final bit about the spoons.
Right. The cashier points towards spoons maybe a bit further away in the display, not right at the till, and says,
Those spoons are $1 each. Those because they're clearly a bit more distanced, physically this time, from the immediate checkout zone.
so even a small change in position within the shop can trigger the switch between these and those.
It really emphasizes that while the 2x2 grid is the fundamental rule, your brain has to be constantly, in real time, calculating location relative to you, the speaker.
That's really insightful. It's more dynamic than just a static rule.
Oh, good.
But okay, let's push this further. Demonstratives aren't just for pointing at coffee machines and jeans, are they? Our sources mentioned using them for more complex stuff, like comparison.
Yes. This is where they become a tool for more advanced, structured conversation. There was an exercise in the sources that specifically used them for direct contrast and comparison.
And that feels like a higher level skill, right? Moving beyond just identifying things.
Definitely. When you use demonstratives to compare and contrast two things or two ideas, you're essentially building a framework for your opinion. You're moving from simple description into making an argument or drawing a distinction.
Okay, how does that work? The source material had an example comparing rooms.
Right.
If you want to contrast two opposing things or groups, demonstratives give you this perfect parallel structure. So comparing rooms. These rooms here are tidy. That implies the ones near us, the ones we're focusing on now. Okay, near, plural.
These. And by contrast, you signal the shift. Those rooms over there are untidy. Far, plural, equally those. You use the near-far contrast to set up the opposite adjectives, tidy versus untidy.
Exactly. It's a really clean, efficient way to highlight the difference. So the demonstratives act like anchors for the comparison. Let's try the book example. These books here are interesting. Near, plural. Okay.
Those books over there are boring.
Far, plural. See?
Yeah.
The structure is simple, clear, effective. Now imagine applying this to more abstract things.
Like comparing ideas, or maybe time periods.
Mhm.
Perfect. Imagine comparing, say, two different government policies. You could structure it like, this current approach focuses on A, using this because it's the current near one, okay? But that older policy resulted in B, using that for the temporally distant far one.
Using this for the immediate context and that for the
Mhm.
past context, it instantly structures the comparison.
Right.
Or even comparing people or attitudes, like in the teacher example. This teacher here is strict but fair. Near, singular.
Yeah.
Teacher over there is just confusing. Far, singular.
By anchoring one side of the comparison with this or these's, you automatically create the perfect slot for the contrasting idea using that or those.
So these 4 tiny words, they're not just pointers, they're fundamental building blocks for clear comparisons, for efficiency, and ultimately for sounding really confident.
That's the point. They are the scaffolding you use to build more complex thoughts quickly. Once you truly master this 2x2 logic and these comparison structures, you'll honestly find your conversational speed just takes off.
It really does feel like a shortcut, not just to speaking, but maybe even to thinking more clearly in English.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, that was a really comprehensive look. Let's try and boil it down. What are the absolute key takeaways from this deep dive into this, that, these, and those?
All right, 3 main things to lock in. First, remember there are 2 jobs, that dual role. They're essential pointers, acting as either adjectives tied to a noun,
Like this car.
or as super efficient pronouns that replace the noun entirely.
Like I like that. Okay, dual role. Got it.
Second, the choice between the 4 is always dictated by that simple, totally reliable 2x2 grid.
Near or far. Singular or plural, including that idea of time and conceptual distance for far.
Exactly. That grid is your foolproof guide. And third,
Third, using them smartly, dropping the noun when the context is clear, using them to build comparisons. That's what makes your conversation faster, more dynamic, and just sound much more natural.
you move beyond just naming things to actually structuring your thoughts about them.
Okay, so dual role, 2x2 grid, and using them for fluency and comparison.
Perfect summary. Now here's the final thought, the really provocative idea we want you, the listener, to take away from this. And honestly, this is probably the biggest psychological shift you can make as a learner.
Okay.
Stop thinking of these 4 words as like tricky grammar points hidden in a textbook definition somewhere. Stop being afraid of them.
Right. Don't treat them like enemies. Exactly. Instead, start treating them as what they really are. Instant utility markers. They are simply the quickest, simplest way to signal location and quantity in one tiny syllable. Utility markers. I like that.
Once you start relying on your own quick assessment, is it near or far? Is it one or many? The fear just evaporates because picking the word becomes an automatic, logical response to what you're seeing or thinking.
So the selection isn't a grammar rule you have to remember. It's a description of reality you just state.
Precisely. And this way of thinking, this psychological reframing, that is the real key to unlocking faster fluency with these words.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so what's the call to action? What should people do right now?
Immediately put it into practice, consciously. Don't just rely on guessing or old habits. Start using the grid actively. Look around you right now wherever you are, your room, your office, outside.
Okay? And verbally point stuff out. Pick 10 different things. For each one, consciously ask, near or far, singular or plural, and then say the sentence out loud, using the correct demonstrative. Like, this is my coffee cup, those trees are tall, these papers on my desk need sorting.
Exactly like that. Say it out loud. Make the assessment conscious.
Practice makes permanent, right? Keep doing that 2x2 check.
And very quickly, you'll find those moments where you freeze up mid-sentence. They'll just fade away. They'll become a thing of the past. And what replaces it is confident, immediate, natural communication.
Sounds like a plan.
So we really encourage you to do that little exercise, and please join us for our next deep dive, where we'll keep digging into more of these crucial shortcuts and structures to help you master English fluency.
Until then, keep pointing things out.